Hello, welcome to the second session of this 8th week of our course Marketing Management 2. And as you know, this week we are discussing some special topics on marketing, and right now this session and few following sessions will be dedicated to services marketing. In the last session, we concluded with this slide where we said that we can look at this whole range of goods and services. Starting at one end, we have easy to evaluate, and at the extreme end, we have difficult to evaluate on that other extreme end. And in a way, you will see that the easy to evaluate stuff like clothing, jewelry, furniture or house or automobiles, these are tangible. So, you can actually look at a picture, you can even touch it, check it out, try it like clothing or jewelry before you purchase. This aspect where actually a physical presence can be checked, can be evaluated before purchase is what we call tangibility. So, in a way this side is for tangibility, and as we progress on this, it is we are approaching intangibility. For example, child care or a legal service or a dental treatment or a musical concert, you cannot actually, you can make some, you can form some expectation, you can have some ideas, but you cannot touch it or hear it or see it before the purchase and the consumption has taken place. That is why we said that this is the area of experience, and this is the domain where even experience during consumption cannot tell us fully about the effectiveness of the service. It takes some time to understand whether the service has been successful, like for example in case of a medical operation or in case of education. So, that is why we call them high in credence qualities. High in credence qualities also means that that sort of service is also high in intangibility. So, these four aspects, for a long time services were distinguished from products by these four characteristics which we are going to discuss, often called IHIP, using the first letters of the four concepts, four words. Now, because of this intangibility, heterogeneity, etc., which we are going to discuss just now, earlier services were in a way considered a little inferior bunch of goods, class of goods which were inferior because of these four characteristics. But today, as we know that this is the time when service is a dominant logic of business. The concept that there is no need of transfer of ownership is a green concept, is a more environmentally sustainable concept which we discussed in the last session. Also, the involvement of the customer in co-creating the final value is another dimension which sort of stresses that all business should be looked upon ultimately as a service, because customer is not really looking for any product, customer is always looking for a resolution of his or her problem, customer is looking for a solution. So, service therefore, because of its solution focus, because of its focus on customer involvement, co-creation, because of its concept of non-transfer of ownership, is a more useful way of looking at business. But still we must look at these 4 characteristics to understand some nuances about the service business. Incidentally, for today's session and for the next few sessions, I will be using, I will be referring to this particular book. This book is called Services Marketing, People, Technology and Strategy. This book is co-authored by me and originally written by Professor Christopher Lovelock. So, Professor Jochen Witz from National University of Singapore and I have worked on this book for use in South Asia particularly, with profuse examples. So, those of you who are interested to know more about services marketing can refer to this book besides the chapter 14 of Kotler and Keller. And of course, you can also refer to the full course on services management that is available on NPTEL, which I had delivered earlier. Now, intangibility therefore fundamentally means that the properties which make service before consumption not visible, not hearable, not you can't taste it, you can't feel it, you can't try it out. It can only happen, like for example, a musical concert, you cannot try it out, you only experience it when you are there. I am not talking about a CD or DVD of the music, but I am talking about a recording of a live session, but I am talking about the live concert. So, intangibility actually poses lot of challenges for promoting the service, for communicating the features of that service to public before it happens, and how that challenge we meet I will be discussing shortly. But let me talk about inseparability. Inseparability, I think briefly I discussed in the last session. That means that if you are going to have a haircut or if you are going to have a dental treatment, then the caregiver or the salon person and you must be present at the same place at the same time for the service to happen. This is what this inseparability of the service provider and the service consumer is a particular feature of many services, With of course, with technology now we have different possibilities, like for example, this particular session that you are enjoying was recorded, was edited, was prepared for the format for availability over the internet, and it is now being presented to you, and you can record it and you can see it again and again. This in a way sort of addresses some of the using technology here we are addressing some of the particular challenges of services, which is this thing about inseparability, and the last one, perishability. In the past we would have said that if you do not come to class, then that particular class, whatever has been discussed in that class, more than the lecture which you can perhaps see read in the book or notes, but all the interactions that take place in the class are lost if you are not there in the class. But today of course, this inseparability we are addressing with technology, because I am recording it today, you will be seeing it maybe a few days later, and the interactions can happen on the forum of this course, which will be available for you to read and comment upon for quite some time, at least during the whole 8 weeks of the course. So, but otherwise perishability and inseparability both happen. So, if it is a for example, in this other the earlier diagram, so whether it is haircut or vacation, if a vacation you have not taken this summer, then that opportunity is lost forever. This summer is not going to come back, time flows, along with that the opportunity to have created that service flows, right. So, inseparability and perishability therefore kind of go hand in hand, and this the fourth point, variability, also called heterogeneity, means that like today's my session and my tomorrow's session may not be same. Even if I give the same lecture this year and in the next semester, it may not be the same, because that particular day I may have some new ideas, that particular day I may be feeling better or I may be feeling not so good, and you may have different mental frame. So, in today's class you may be very attentive, in tomorrow's class you may not be very attentive. As a result, because of this time to time variability of human beings, and the actual service can it can never be exactly repeated. So, there is always some variation. So, this is what we call variability or heterogeneity. Also, the same class or the same music concert or the same doctor's treatment may be considered excellent by some people and may not be considered as very good by some other people, because ultimately, as we discussed in the previous session, whether the service is good or bad to a large extent depends on perception because of the intangibility, and the perception varies from person to person, and that creates the variability or the heterogeneity, right. So, these four factors of course create many challenges in marketing. Of them, the very big challenge comes from intangibility in promotion of the service, in calibrating the expectation in customers' mind about the service. If it is intangible, the customers can have any level of expectation, and as we have discussed, ultimately quality is meeting customers' expectation and exceeding it for customers' delight. So, calibrating the initial expectation through promotion and through initial communication is very important for ultimately to create satisfaction and to create delight. And because of this intangibility reason, you cannot actually accurately describe it, customer cannot feel it, try it, taste it. So, we need to tangibilize the intangible to be effective in promoting a service. Normally, we do it through the place and its ambience. The place means where the service will take place. So, movie halls, doctors' chambers, legal counselors' chambers, hospitals, they all try to create an ambience that create a manageable good level of expectation in the customer's mind. Like usually you will see a management consultant's office will be plush, will have lots of books, will have maybe certificates of the consultants maybe will have events or description of successful projects executed by that consulting company. All these are using the place and some physical evidence to create the requisite expectation in the customer's mind. There may be also some good equipment or technology visible to the customer, like for example, in a dentist's chamber, the dental chair and other associated sophisticated equipment also in a way calibrate the expectation in the customer's mind or create a favorable impression before the service happens. And of course, symbols, logos, color schemes, even scent, even the smell, favorable smell, all these can be used as processes, methods for tangibilizing the intangible and for effectively handling this challenge of promoting something that cannot be seen, cannot be heard, cannot be tasted, cannot be tried and so on. So, physical evidence and presentation through place, through people. For example, in a 5-star hotel, all the frontline employees, right from the bell captain to the bellmen to the front desk people to the customer relation people, they all will be in good uniform, they all will be operating in an environment which is plush, there may be a lot of flowers, there may be sort of heritage furniture if it is a heritage hotel, there will be very modern and plush furniture if it is a modern day urban hotel. So, place, people and equipment sort of together form the communication package. This is an indirect communication material for an intangible service, and this is the way you tangibilize, and incidentally price is also a signal, in a way symbolizes certain expectation of the service level. So, all these together, the physical evidence and presentation address those 4 challenges of service IHIP that I discussed just now. In fact, in the earlier discussions we had said that we had discussed about the 4 P's of marketing for what we call marketing mix. The 4 P's were the product itself, the place meaning the distribution, price and promotion. In service we talk about 2 extra P's. So, sometimes it is said that service marketing mix has 6 P's. So, to the original 4 P's we often add therefore people and physical evidence. The physical evidence or tangibilizing the intangible is needed for managing those IHIP characteristics, and the people in many cases, in many services, whether it is the doctor's treatment or it is the education, it is a person to person transaction. So, service personnel, their quality, their capability, their behavior, their transactions all have a lot of bearing on the ultimate opinion the customer forms about that particular service. So, people, particularly in this sense the service providers, and the physical evidence are 2 additional P's that we add to marketing mix when we talk about services. I will highly recommend to you, this is a snapshot of the Walt Disney website, and this is the Disney World, and Disneys have done excellent work in this tangibilizing the intangible. So basically this is a theme park. You go there and enjoy various rides and interesting construction which depict some comic characters, some stories and so on. Like this is a castle which can be seen, a replica of a castle which can be seen from a long distance away, and you can have a stay in a Disney hotel, and you can have a Disney vacation. In all these, whether meeting with Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse roaming around in the theme park, or these different rides which may look like a space ride or may emulate a famous Hollywood film, all these are so Sleeping Beauty or Snow White are famous stories turned into famous Disney films, and then there are these Disney characters, and they will be depicted through various along the theme park. And even their website, I would recommend you go through them, go through the website, and you will see how in so many ways they make many experiences for which they are inviting you. Basically their service is offering a pleasant, fun-filled experience. But the way they, and that experience can really not be described before you experience it. But you will see on the website how through opinion of others, how through pictures of other people enjoying, and the different theme park areas, they create, so they use the physical evidence, they use the people and picture elements to tangibilize. From these characteristics and the marketing challenges, I am moving to another area which is a big challenge in service, and marketing must play a significant role in managing this challenge of the service business, that is matching demand and supply. Now, it is very easy to understand that if you take a restaurant, for example, the restaurant may be quite full during lunch time, it may be over full, customers may be waiting. If it is a famous restaurant or a well liked restaurant, customers may be waiting outside during dinner time. But if you go there in the morning at 11 o'clock, or if you go there in the late afternoon around 4 o'clock, it will be very sparsely attended. The whole restaurant may be just empty. So, these days marketing input has created that, for example, many restaurants in the institutional areas like college areas, up to say 1 o'clock, they will move away the tables and chairs and create a place for pool tables, and people will be playing snookers, billiards, pool. So, at that time it becomes a game parlor, or there may be many video games available along with the pool tables for young people from the nearby colleges to enjoy. But at 1 p.m. it all changes and it becomes a regular dining place. Or for example, using a marketing technique in the early evening, where the demand increases, arrival of people peaks up maybe from 8 p.m. onwards. On the other hand, from 5 to 8 it may be very lightly attended. So, what you do is you create happy hours, you offer drinks for buy one get one free, or you offer some special snacks at discounts during this period. So, these are coming from what we had discussed earlier in under promotion, or we discussed under pricing. So, you create marketing incentives to see that enough demand or alternate demand is created to to match up with the supply or capacity that is available. So, matching demand and capacity, matching demand and supply is a special area of in services business, where to meet that challenge marketing has to must play a very active role. For example, during for demand management, lot of sophistication based on data analytics is today employed in, say, airlines business. So, airlines prices, the price for a ticket from Lucknow to Mumbai or from Delhi to Mumbai, more likely in case all these inter-metro flights between Delhi, Mumbai or Delhi, Chennai, there will be lot of differential pricing depending on the demand. So, today you might be taking that flight at 3000 rupees, tomorrow that same flight might cost you 9000 rupees. It all depends on what is the level of demand or what is the level of advance booking. Some airlines will actually allow you to book a very low cost ticket if you book maybe 1 month in advance, because they are actually filling up the capacity. They will not sell the whole capacity. There is a whole lot of logic which we call yield management based on this variable pricing, and so we create rate fences. So, certain part of the aircraft will be filled by these early bookers. On the other hand, the business class, they are not very normally business class will be used by office for business people, executives. So, they may often decide their flights at the very last moment, as business requirements come up. So, there is not much of variability, they are set at a much higher level of price. Maybe few seats in the business class will be available at a slightly lower price for this kind of advance booking. So, differential pricing for the same seat based on demand and using the price or discounts to attract passengers during the low demand. So, there will be many monsoon dhamakas, monsoon sale of airline tickets, because at that time the holidaying spree sort of comes down. After the peak of summer, there is a normally there is a reduction in demand during the monsoon, because many places are no longer that enjoyable. So, flight to Goa, the prices will come down in monsoon compared to the prices in summer, and it will be much lower compared to the prices in winter when the price peaks. So, peak demand and non-peak demand, the pricing will be managed using sophisticated marketing techniques like yield management to manage this demand supply mismatch, which often happens in service businesses, be it a restaurant, be it an airline, be it a cruise, or be it a movie hall. So, movie hall tickets will be higher during the weekend compared to the prices during the midweek. Nowadays, of course, this sophisticated technique is being employed even by supermarkets. So, you will have a high sale day on Wednesday, because that is the middle of the week, usually it attracts less people. So, you give more discounts on that day. So, you manage the pricing to stimulate the demand. Sometimes you may actually give complimentary services during the non-peak period, again to stimulate demand. And of course, because of this mismatch between demand and supply, and we want to manage the demand side. So, one technique in services, like whether it is the doctor's chamber or the appointment with the lawyer or for hospital procedures, there is a reservation system, so that you reserve from before, and so the service provider will look at how the capacity is being demanded, how the capacity is getting filled up, then they will use the marketing techniques of peak, non-peak demand and the variable pricing. On the supply side, during this peak period, many restaurants use part-time employees. Many hotels during the high peak period of vacation, summer, winter, will use part-time employees. This is another way of creating transient capacity or short time capacity, because people determine capacity in many services. So, part-time employees or part-time renting of additional facilities are way you manage the supply side because of this variability of demand. Peak time may often employ different kinds of automation to manage the throughput requirement, and in some cases this is something new, but it is increasing again and again, that during the peak period customer participation will be increased. So, for example, earlier on flights, just before the flight started, newspapers, magazines were distributed. These days those are kept at the entry point, and customers, passengers are encouraged to pick up whatever they would like to read during the flight. So, for in-flight reading, the whole distribution, that part of the service is now transferred to the customer. Similarly, earlier the drinking water was distributed, nowadays they are often kept, the bottles are kept at the entrance. So, you pick up one as you are walking towards your seat. This is an example of customer participation to manage the demand. And then there are shared services. You can use other service providers and share overflows, or create what we call those complementary services, and of course a continuous extra demand which you have to turn away. Like in a restaurant, every night if you are not able to serve, you see 20 to 30 customers because your capacity is filled. It means that you will have to create that sort of maybe 10 more seats. These things, like these facilities for future expansion, can again be nicely estimated if you collect the data of your customer arrival, customer departure, and occupancy rate of your services. So, in hotels, restaurants, hospitals, these are the ways we manage on the supply side the demand variability, and on the demand side we use more and more marketing techniques to manage the variability. So, that is where actually we will end today's session, and tomorrow we will take up some other interesting topics on services marketing. Thank you.